Do this.
Man.
What's up, everybody? I'm Godwin, one of the hosts here on the Daily Take with Take Detroit. This is Brandon.
Zach kill me when he be like, stop. Test 1, 2.
What up? Yo, how you doing?
Back in the mix, still here, doing more content, talking a lot of studio with some OGs in the mix. We got the man, the young village man, and then my man back from Boston town.
What's
We're
up,
talking
what's up?
it. All right,
Live right now?
take Detroit, check it. I'm gonna put that up in the story.
Bet.
What kind of phone is that?
I hate iPhones. It's a 22.
Oh, is it Samsung? Mm-hmm. Oh, the picture looks so clear.
Oh yeah, I hate the iPhone.
I'm with you on that.
Really, I
bro.
just hate all Apple because I don't like what Apple does to people.
It's really a fucking cult.
Should
Yeah.
They turn motherfuckers into a cult.
I go with a more lower tone voice? What up, everybody? This is Godwin with the Daily Take on the Take Detroit show with our co-host Brandon.
What's up, everybody?
And we've got a very, very special guest. The Take Detroit show is a show where we have interesting conversations with interesting people. And our interesting person today is none other than
Khary, Frazier in full effect of Detroit is different. What's going on? What's going on, people? Air horns and all of that good stuff, applause. Yeah.
Reggae music.
Reggae
action.
music.
Hey, so let me ask you this, right? I heard a rumor
Okay.
from somebody, and I didn't tell you who, that at one point you did 750 three-point shots consecutively in the gym for a youth program. Is that you do youth programs?
I've done certain youth programming, but on a basketball court in Hardwood, as I told my friends, I just like talking, you know what I'm saying, and
I was about to
intangibles
say.
to the game.
I'm
But
gonna say, God, you asking the wrong question.
But,
you work with youth. I'm gonna know, did he actually hit the 700?
I'm gonna say no.
Okay.
The 753, if I did, I was already talking, not doing much. So you can only imagine the amount of ego and the amount of, I would be walking around like, you know how Al Bundy had the poke high touch, what's that, the 5 touchdown game? I would change my name to Mr. 754.
Yeah, hey, I ain't mad at that.
So we'll get into your full background in a minute, but let's break it down. So what kind of led you to like working with the youth and kind of giving back to the community in that capacity?
Okay, well, and I'm not as active with the little homies. That's what I always call younger people. But as you get older, I guess like now working with 20-year-olds being 39, it's like, that's their youth. You know what I'm saying? So what led me was feeling as though more expression could happen. You know, when I was in school, I felt as though I wasn't heard all the time, and it was more outlets that could be available for me. So since I felt like it could be more outlets available for me, as I grew up, I'm like, okay, I think I see what's happening with some of the other kids at Northwestern High School. The president of Northwestern, shout out Coates, Red, you know what I'm saying? You know how we do it. So, so connecting with the students after I graduated was more so like just connecting with myself. And then as time went on and I really defined more roles of where I wanted to be, it just became imperative of we as a people need platforms and voices. So how do we connect with these voices and platforms? With that, you know, Detroit is different and it's an open space and a lot of young people connect with it.
So, Khary, on the Detroit is different tip, exactly what is Detroit is different? and why did you create this particular platform? Like what let you know that there was an actual need for something like Detroit is different? Because I think it kind of ties into what you said about making that connection with your younger self, making that connection with the youth.
So I would say what the initiative behind making Detroit is different, first was I wanted more of a platform for where my music stories could be told. This is 2014. It's 2022 now. 2014 doesn't seem like that long ago, but in the world of media, that may be like
30 years.
Exactly. Like I Love Lucy was on TV or something.
It's a completely different time, another era.
So I wanted a blog, but I wanted my blog to be a little bit different and tell these stories about the things that I thought were interesting in Detroit and include a podcast inside it. And in 2014, I was a fan of podcasts, but it still was like, what the hell is a podcast was what most people connected with me on. So I started taking people on tours of Detroit. The things that I thought would be different. You both are classic examples of you'll meet a person and you're like, you don't know this person or you don't know that person? And they're looking at you like, no, not at all. Because Detroit is such a cliquish town, I believe.
Sure.
Like you can almost be in a silo of nothing but people that drive motorcycles, nothing but people that wear the big church hats and are Kojic, nothing but people that are on the underground art, graffiti scene. Like it's like
the new thing is the Jeep gangs rolling around Detroit. I see a bunch of folks riding in Jeeps, but you're absolutely right, Khary. You can easily get insulated into a vacuum seal.
Yeah, and people will say, man, there's nothing going on here, and I think Detroit has so many different worlds. You just need the right person to welcome you in, like it's vampiring or something. So I saw Detroit is different as that gateway of showing you, like, okay, here's some of that Eastern European heritage of Hamtramck that I found cool, that has these different spices and foods that I like. Here is, an East African connection in Detroit that is cool, that I find different. Here are some people that just, have been, roller skating, as adults on a Wednesday afternoon for over 40 years that I think is cool. And that's what Detroit is different, pretty much, is the platform. And then introduce you to people to tell their Detroit stories as well.
And as I understand it, Detroit is different is more than just a podcast, right? How many other things is it?
So along with a podcast, we do a lot of events and I partner with other podcasters. I'm big into connecting with people's creativity, bringing it to life. I get inspired from something creative, which that connects me to young people, because I do believe that the older we get, our imagination gets stifled. We see the ceiling on almost everything. Like sometimes we'll even see something real cool like clothes and we'll be like, I ain't gonna wear that because I ain't trying to feel it. The young person is like, hey, I'm wearing my Batman cape, my Spider-Man shirt, my Superman shoes, and I'm going out here, and I like that creativity. So in 17, I opened up the gateway for more podcasters to join me in the Detroit is Different journey, because my best opportunities come from offering opportunities to others.
It's 2017.
2017, yep. So with that also comes, let's bring this to life. Where does a podcast like Josh Adams, if your podcast were to come to life, what does that look like? Piper Carter, if your podcast come to life, what does that look like? So,
Shout out to Piper.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. One of the biggest things, My Natural Hair.
Piper and Josh Adams are part of Detroit is Different?
Yes, they're both part of Detroit is Different. Also, the My Natural Hair podcast, which we did a My Natural Hair show, which Detroit is known for hair shows, but now we have a natural hair show that we've been doing, and we're carrying that on. And Fluent, another classic creative, he's our host, and as I say, he says my Steve Harvey or whatever. But nice. Bringing these different ideas to life. With Piper, it's I'm the rapper, she's the DJ, like all woman hip hop show, where it's like women producers, women DJs, women MCs. Like, let's bring to life some of this creativity and have people experience something. That's what Detroit is Different about.
And Khary, you're a multi-hyphenate. You aren't just a podcast producer. You aren't just a youth advocate. You aren't just an MC.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about all of the hyphens that come with your name, and we might have to put you on spot a little bit and drop some bars, because Godwin and I we trade bars from time to time. You might gonna have to do a little impromptu freestyle Friday. It is Friday.
I'm not MCing as much like in the booth, but rap was always in hip hop. My hip hop approach is always the grounds for most of my approach towards most things in life. I feel that hip hop is such a dynamic art form. you know, but also like most art forms, you need the right interpretation of it because you can't listen to it and it's like, wow, this is a lot. It's aggressive, it's violent, it's misogynistic, it's defeatist, it's, you know, it's capitalistic, it's egotistical, but in the right lens, I believe the stories and the context of it, you know, it's touching.
There's
you know,
beauty there.
And it's beauty in that vehicle. So hip hop's approach is kind of my approach towards business. It's my approach towards marketing. It's my approach towards community organizing, gardening. Like, it's a hip hop approach. The same way, like, if I'm freestyling, as they say, being present in the moment, in a great freestyle for those watching, you're not sitting as you're rapping and thinking, what am I gonna say next? You're present in what your flow is, and then getting back to my flow when I have it, and finding that right pace, finding that right rhythm, finding the right tone, timing, all of that stuff goes into life too. So I look to apply that into most of the things I do.
So there's obviously a very deep cultural thread that runs through your work, not only from the hip hop side, but also from the Detroit side.
Definitely.
What is it about the city that has kept you here? Because Godwin and I, we've talked about this. You know, we lose a lot of talent here in Detroit. I mean, it's not just Godwin and I. A lot of folks from around the city talk about the brain drain and the creative drain that happens from Detroit. Why is it that a talent as great as yours and as diverse as yours has decided to maintain space here, has decided to stay and remain in the place where you came up?
Well, I do have the advantage of, I've traveled a little bit. I've traveled, I've traveled places inside the country, outside the country. And then weigh the options. There are some opportunities, but it's always trade-off. What I love about Detroit is this is one of the places where I can tap into my creativity most. I feel that, yes, if I go to a city like, right now, everybody I know black is going to Houston. And there's opportunities in Houston. And I'm sure my bank account will probably, you know, be more fulfilled with certain commas and things like that and projects. But in that trade-off, I'd be losing the autonomy to do things like a lot of studios. I mean, I have 2 empty plots of land next to my home that I own that I've turned into a garden space and a place now where I have performances in the summertime and podcasts. I'm not finding that in Los Angeles, New York, Philadelphia, Boston, New Orleans even. Like, you know, it's certain things that I can do here and find Detroit as a canvas in that freedom and autonomy. Am I trading off some money? Yes. Am I trading off possibly some more notoriety nationally? Definitely. But I still really look to some of those pillars like Mama Shu, you spoke to her. I look to Mama Shu and what she's doing at Avalon Village. I look to Tyree Guyton and everything he's done with the Heidelberg Project, and I say, this is how I want Detroit is different to be. I can create a campus here that I feel like I can't create any other place in the world like I can here.
Absolutely.
I know that Detroit is different is a collaborative project, but independently came from your idea and mindset. It does sound, though, just based off your methodology, that you adopt a very egalitarian worldview. How does that play into how Detroit is different moves forward within its future plans?
Well, so much of it still is moving with the people. You know, I have a lot of these visions. I have a lot of creativity, but I can only go as far as the support base and the people and the team members. I'm one to think like it takes 10 years even for something to really, you know, form and take shape. So, you know, the tough thing is when you're getting from year 1, especially to year 10, it may seem like so tall. But along the way, you know, if I have a framework, then somebody comes and says like, look, bro, the way you're doing your garden boxes, you can do it better. I'm going to step in and do this. You know, the way you did your animation here, you know, artists will step to me and say, we can tighten up that up here. You come, you taste some food and you step in and say, man, we can probably deliver food better. Like that 10 years, it's like I'm auditioning and showing my offering of how committed I am to this work and this project. And then I'm welcoming back that energy. So I think the key is to keep the door open for opportunity to collaborate with others where they are most creative themselves. That is going to be paramount for Detroit is Different to carry on.
So this is shifting gears a little bit here.
Mm-hmm.
What's the wildest thing that's happened on air at Detroit is Different?
Okay, well, sometimes like we do like some Sacha Baron Cohen stuff, like where we stage certain things.
Oh, so
Crazy people?
Like sort of kind of like, you know, it's performative art, like it's content. So I think probably one of my favorite interviews was when I interviewed Amp Fiddler and Lauren Hood together.
oh, nice.
That was a real cool, fun interview. One of the most, I guess, like, one of the more interesting ones was like in that Josh Adams. It was the Sacha Baron Cohen performative. We did a baby gender reveal of a couple, and they ended up like breaking up during the gender reveal. So like it just.
So y'all had like a whole script.
Yeah, it was like Curb Your Enthusiasm. We had like bullet points of like, we're gonna go here, we're gonna go here, we're gonna go here, we're gonna go here. Yes.
So y'all invited not unsuspecting audience members? Or was it just on the internet?
On air.
It was just on air, but being that you say audience members, that's another thing we do with Josh. We've done live podcasts with Josh. So for his birthday, we do live podcasts where it's more interactive. And yeah, one of the podcasts that was interactive, it's like, wow, certain people in their bedroom life is a lot more explorative than you would imagine. You know what I'm saying? So that was pretty out there. So, you know. But Josh probably has every out there moment, I would say. Either Josh or Titties and Tacos. They have some out there moments too.
Titties and Tacos. What's Titties and Tacos?
It's two friends that are women that love tacos, so that's why they name it that. And it's every one of their episodes they name after a letter of the alphabet. And this is their 4th season. It's very interactive. They have like a lot of cool segments. It's funny.
And it's Detroit. This is a Detroit-based
Detroit.
podcast.
Well, it's kind of like two networks. We have Detroit is Different After Dark for all the cussing and carrying on. And then it's regular Detroit is Different. They definitely cussing and carrying on. So they some
I can only
people.
imagine if it's
Yes.
Titties and Tacos.
Yes.
Now, I saw a post from you the other day, Khary, where you actually took us a couple of different places in the post. I think it was on Facebook, and you mentioned an early job you had.
Yes.
And you also mentioned people know you from being argumentative a little bit from the arguments you make.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about that post? I really enjoyed reading that. I didn't tell you this personally, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. It gave us some really good insight into who you are as a person, as a man, and even as a human. There was some very, there's some humanistic parts there that you really were vulnerable.
So definitely it's in marketing as well. Like that's my bachelor's degree is in marketing. My master's is in marketing. So I recognize, like, you know, sometimes you have to open up, you know, and give people more than just what it is. Especially right now, it's an active fundraiser. And, you know, I have my posts, I have my countdowns, but sometimes just the written word carries some weight.
Yes.
So I'm like, I got to give some written word to this too. So in it, I talk about just my journey at like 28. I was like in a transition heading towards 30. I don't know if either one of you felt that way, but I was putting like undue pressure on myself, like reaching 30, because I had an idea by 30, I'm gonna have this and I should be here, and this is what success looks like, and this is what should be going on. The closer I got there, a lot of what I thought was existing wasn't there. And the reason why it wasn't there was because almost like all my ideas seemed to be classic ideas that just needed a lot more money. In reality right now, all my ideas, the budget for my ideas will never meet, you know what I'm saying, what's going on. It's always going to be more abundant. But now I think I've figured out and determined how to move past that. But in the post, I'm talking about what college provided for me. So college was a great platform that in my mind, I'm thinking like, I'd get some student loan money and, you know, figure this thing out. But college helped really redevelop my confidence, because it was one of the few places as a black man such as myself could be in a space with my fellow classmates and offer perspective on all these different topics. As you say, the argumentative post. So like I'm talking to professors in anthropology, sociology, economics, macro, micro, you know what I mean? Logic, you know, existentialism, things like that. Like things that it's like, okay, I know this, like giving me what I call game. So that's what most people would call information or knowledge. I call it game. You know, that's just me and the hip hop in me. So it's like, you're just giving me the words to put this game back into play. So what you saying is like reminding me of Nas lyrics. So let me represent it back to you. College was that place where me and a lot of professors could go back and forth. The more I went on my journey, because I'm a graduate of Walsh College, a business school in the Metro Detroit area, you know, most of my professors ended up being like a lot of these older, conservative, white men that are like, you know, larger, you know, managers or executives, usually for the big three or the banking industry and things like that. And I really got to bust my chops and go back and forth. And it's like, I would never be in spaces with these types of men to like challenge them, and then they could challenge me, and we can go back and forth.
That environment was perfect for it.
It was excellent. I'm sure some of my classmates was like, oh man, we gonna be in class all night. I didn't care because it was good for me to strengthen my chops and know, okay, this is building my confidence. This is going to be the type of man that'll be my loan officer. Now I know like some in-depth thought process of how he feels about Barack Obama. So it's like, if he feels that way about Barack Obama, Khary Frazier damn sure ain't getting a loan. So they can say whatever they want to say. But now I even have the theory behind what can be on paper, how to put things on paper, how to package things. You know, the intimidation I sometimes felt like when sometimes people will throw some business jargon out there, like, you know, have you done a needs assessment, or, you know, what's the SWOT analysis in reference to this? You know, sometimes that jargon would shut me down. I don't know if anybody else feels that way, and I'd be intimidated because I didn't know. And even though you can pick a lot of information and game up from YouTube videos or reading books, college to me is like a theory of thought and process that's the understood universal way of we're onboarding information. So you can play basketball differently, but this is like John Stockton is the traditional point guard. So it's like you can be Ja Morant, but you still need to know what John Stockton is so that you can even know what's inbounds and out of bounds of the game so you can be Ja Morant.
It's interesting you say that because right now that's not the case with a lot of things. I remember back when you first started going to school, I had a similar college experience, and the internet wasn't even a place that you could recognize or use for something. So you had, if you were going to get something from the internet, you had to source it. You know, you had to get at least 3 sources from the internet to now consider it. And today's world, people will source a headline of an article they didn't read as the basis
and run it
for
up.
that debate.
And even that, like, I understand the theory of college. Like, bachelor's degree, you're learning to read academic information, cite that information and basically present an argument based on the data you have. Master's degree, you can compare 2 sets of data together. A doctorate, you finally can form your own thought that needs to be validated by this group of people that validate what that thought is. So it's definitely transitioning the way we get information, receive information, trust information. Social media has a lot to do with it as well. But I'm still one through my marketing mind to say, like, you can say this is what is academically correct. If the people believe this is what's right, this is kind of what's right. Society's gonna win in a lot of ways, whether it's right or wrong.
Right.
You know, so we need to understand that message in it, and that's where I think college and the academic journey has completely shifted from when I first graduated high school, because people used to look at going to online college like it was like child's play, like the police academy or something.
People didn't respect it.
Whereas now, every university is looking to get on that board, and the University of Phoenix, like I would say the first leader in my mind of that, it has become one of the strongest institutions in any discussions in higher education.
Well, they're the pioneer.
Yes.
And actually, that's a good segue into this question. So you mentioned your marketing mind, Khary, and how you approach your business endeavors through a hip hop lens.
Definitely.
Let's talk about a lot of studio. This is your latest, your latest and greatest
project.
Maybe
Yes.
I don't know if it's the greatest because I know you got a lot of things going, but it's gonna be among the greatest.
Definitely.
Tell us about what it is, and how it came to be, and what your vision is for a lot of studio.
Okay, in 2019, we got some food from Godwin for it. 2019, we did the Detroit is Different Festival. It was an idea, I think, that as much as Detroit is Different is like an online platform through the downloadable podcast apps that people can reach. We're some in-person people. I think black folks and black culture, you gotta touch it, you gotta feel it.
We gotta be together,
you know,
man.
just to know the context of it. So I was like, we're good online, let's all come together and let's do something in person. That was the Detroit is Different Festival in 2019. It was a success. It was the end of October 2019. A couple months later, COVID-19 hits. It's like, damn, what's happening with the world? One of the first things my dad said is like, we've been sitting on these 6 plots of land for forever. We should start growing a garden. I was like, okay, I'll call Maliki Keeney. I'll call Mama Myrtle from Feed 'em Freedom. I'll call some of the people I know that are in the gardening, you know, get some basics on it.
Did you have any gardening experience at this point?
Not from like outside of when I was like 6 and 7 with my grandma,
digging
just following
in the dirt,
her. Yeah, picking up weeds.
Yeah.
You know, so from them giving me some game, I get the garden boxes in 2020.
Right.
And
Before or after the pandemic?
after, as it started.
Okay.
And it was like, let's empower ourselves a little bit more. And it actually did pretty well. Here was the key to me. A lot of sunlight and getting up and watering. I had the competitive advantage of, you know, my garden's right next to my house. It's a lot of people that sometimes will be like, oh, I'll buy a garden box on the east side because my friend got it. You know, that sun gonna come up every day.
Every day.
So that means you got to get out there and water every day.
Yeah.
So if you live in Corktown and now got to drive all the way to like the other side of Belle Isle, you probably doing that once or twice a week at best.
Right.
It's gonna be like crack of dawn as the sun set or before the sun rise to water. It's gonna be hard for you. For me, it was like, okay, I can just go outside in my just slept in t-shirt and my whatever hoop shorts
Right,
and get out there and bust it down, you know, for the watering. And then the sunlight is such a clear space because I'm right off the service drive of the Lodge Freeway. So the gardening came so abundant. I was giving away so many greens and kale to, you know, I gave some to Cooking with Q. I gave some to all my neighbors. I was just giving it away. And I thought to myself, I need to bring back the Detroit is Different Festival. But the only way I'm gonna really keep paying attention to this garden is people were, as I was shifting to, it's time to get back into business and not just be sitting on some old, like, in the house world. If I'm gonna take this garden serious, I gotta include it into what I do. That's how I do a lot of things, which could be chaos, which could be beautiful. But for me to pay more attention to it, I have to integrate it into other things that I know I'm gonna pay attention to. That's where a lot of studios started last year. And it was a success last year.
And so what exactly happened? What exactly were you doing with the lots for the Lot of Studio program?
I said, I'm going to offer some podcasting, basically an extended version of the Detroit is Different Festival. Instead of in one day, I'm gonna span it out over a couple weeks on Thursdays. So you're gonna get a podcast, you're gonna get some performance, and now, depending upon what the yield is, you can probably walk away with some collard greens and bell peppers.
Nice.
You know, so I'm gonna offer that on this stage in my neighborhood. That's what the call to action was. That was the thought process of it.
What kind of pockets are you reaching out to with this?
So a lot of different people. I look at the audiences, like if the marketing is running like a oiled machine, obviously first is my social circle, the people that know me and support me. Beyond my social circle, it's the collaborators that I have on these topics. So last year we did one that was very well received. It was called Men's Natural Hair, where My Natural Hair
Men's Natural
show.
Hair?
Yes. So it was Bryce, Detroit, Joe Fluent Green, and Jason Jamerson, comedian. They were the panelists, and they're hosted by the My Natural Hair Show podcast. So it's interesting because most times when we think about natural hair, we think of it from women.
Yeah.
So for men to speak about, just this, it's just interesting. Like, Fluent, but how many times are you going up to Fluent like, hey man, how often do you wash your hair? You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's not, like you could have been definitely easily in that. What's your hair care routine? What does it look like? How does it, how do you care for your hair so that you do keep it? Because it can easily, as men, we can be like, I'm just gonna wash it and keep it moving. But even what's that washing process? What's the, if you're locking,
right
when
products.
do you retwist? Yeah. What products do you use, if you use any? You know what I mean? So all of that was an interesting podcast. So when I get into that zone, it's like I know a lot of women that had sons that were thinking natural hair. So it's like, let's target them. Let's reach out. Let's send a direct message
to that group
and offer them like, hey, this is happening. You probably want to come here because your son's interested in locking. This would be
a relevant conversation.
Exactly. So I think the topic, and then you think about the band. So Molly Wop was one of the bands that performed. I love Molly Wop. So I know they have a fan base.
Man.
The people I know that like Molly Wop, it's like, hey, Molly Wop gonna be here this day. Like this year, kicking off is Stornetta Davis, heck of a blues singer from Detroit, heck of a brand. But it's a lot of old school cats, and I love the blues, really. A lot of people don't know that. I really love blues. So a lot of the old heads I know like blues, so I'm going to reach out to them and say, hey, Stornetta's going to be here.
Shout out to the blues. Who your favorite blues artist?
Of all time?
Yeah.
Bobby Bland.
Bobby Blue Bland.
Yep. Bobby Bland. You know what I'm saying? It's like some of that stuff, like Members Only, all that stuff, you know what I'm saying?
Party for the Broken Hearted.
Oh, man, you know what I'm saying? Way down the road, just the whole Bobby Bland, it's like, he's on the list of, like, when people say, artists you wish you could have seen live, he's on the list of artists I wish I could have seen live, but in the right setting. I wouldn't want to see him at, like, some, like, Michigan Lottery, stage.
Yeah, you want to see him at the hole in the wall.
I want to see him, yes.
Yeah.
I want to see him, like, where it's, like, probably everybody in there smoking cigarettes but me
I was about to say,
and drinking whiskey.
Yep.
And, like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying.
So, I don't know how much you can go in on this, but personally, I know you're a very positive person, very hardworking, and a lot of times, whenever I'm interacting with people, talking with them, one of the biggest things that people always tell me is like, oh, it's not as hard for you, or you haven't had to overcome these types of challenges that I've had to overcome, which is a misconception for positive people or people who don't be publicizing their pity parties, right? Would you mind coming to some of the challenges and obstacles and struggles you've had to face creating this thing, and then how you overcame those challenges? If you could be detailed.
It's kind of in the post that Brandon was talking about. So the biggest obstacle usually is the limitation that this is the only way to do it. That's always my biggest obstacle. When, the more I'm willing to divorce myself of this has to be way of thinking, then the more I can tap into my creativity. That's difficult sometimes. Right now I have a fundraiser. It's $25,000. It's June 3rd today. The goal is $25,000 by June 16th. That's when we start a lot of studio. I have $2,380. If this was 5 years ago, maybe even 3 years ago, I'd be way more anxious and frantic about it. But right now, it's like, let me tap back into what Mama Shu says. Let me tap more into my creativity, because the limitation is sticking to this $25,000 budget, and that was the way to deliver it. If I got $2,500, this is going to be the $2,500 approach. We're going to make this happen, but what will that be? So that is the toughest thing. So I know I just even gave it, probably, if you're watching, in the quote-unquote positive way. That can be very difficult, because it's like I worked this plan, I thought this plan through, not just with me, the other collaborators that I talked to, and that really sometimes is the biggest thing, because I brought somebody on board. I called Godwin up, I'm like, yo, Godwin, everything came through, I got the funding, I can pay for Young Village to do, $2,000 worth of catering every day, and that's good, man, we good. All right, and he's like, for real, that's good? It's like, yeah, man, I'm gonna come in, I'm gonna talk out the menu with you, everything. You done spent some time, some capacity. You may have started ordering some food. My money don't come in. Now, this is the tough part. I gotta get on the phone and talk to this other creative that I respect, that's willing to join in my project, that's putting in a little bit extra, that probably is looking for this opportunity. And I gotta, like, almost like in my mind, like pull the rug from under their feet and say, look, we ain't there. We ain't there. This is what I got, and this is what I can work with. You know, and I got to be willing to have you say, you know, that ain't nothing, and don't ever deal with me no more. I'm sick of doing business with black folks. It's so unprofessional. I gotta be willing to take
that one too.
And I gotta be willing to also take, possibly you be like, look, bro, this is what I can do for you. You know, I'm gonna offer you this. My willingness to be present with that has been, you know, I'm learning that more and more. Because marrying myself to like, this is the one way of doing it, has always been something that leaves me in a space where I'm empty and I never reach the goal. And it almost is painful for me because it hurts when I don't reach where I thought that I was supposed to be.
Yeah. Man, that's a real insightful stuff. That's a strong answer too.
Thank you.
I appreciate that. When you wake up in the morning, do you ever think to yourself, man, like, why am I waking up, or what kind of impact am I making out here? Do you see that?
Nah, it's hard to think on that. I try not to. I'm not a big legacy person. Even if I've said it, it's more like as a marketing vehicle per se, because it's very tough. I think that this conversation here is important and pivotal. You know, meaning like I'm relationship based. Social capital is everything to me. So in all these works, it means something and it's inspiring. Like, you don't know what you have done by opening your business to say like, wow, this can happen, and staying at it, working with others. Like, you're inspiring me to be like, wow, this can work. Like, sometimes it's a lot of us looking, and especially for me, it's the collaboration, it's the idea. It's less about the Super Bowl game, and it's more about a city, like how Detroit was, bringing together all the entities that will work in one accord, moving forward, collaborating, and then making it happen. So it's less about the game and more about the journey of putting this whole thing together. So since I focus more on the beauty of the journey, it's always fulfilling for me. And I don't focus on quote unquote impact or legacy or what we walk around with, or maybe y'all just sitting in there talking. It's less about that, because if I stay focused on that, it's going to be difficult. And this one-on-one, I think, is really the most impactful stuff. It's the personal relationships where you can really touch. You know, as a performer, the biggest stage I've ever performed on was it was with a reggae band. It was before Morris Day and the Time at Arts Beats and Eats, back when it was still in Pontiac. Blew me away. It was so many people, right? So many people. But as much as it was a vibe and nobody like booed or nothing like that, it wasn't impactful because people were caught in the experience of the mob mentality, the crowd mentality. You know, my best shows were when I still felt like rapping and there was 3 people in the audience. And from those shows where it would be 3 people in the audience and I still would rap, I'm telling you, I won some fans over where they're like, I will follow you no matter what you do, because I didn't undercut them. And there's been times when it's less people and I do undercut them. But when I show up with that same presence of mind and get that same energy, you know, and one time I really challenged myself to do that with the Metro Times Blowout. And I had like the last set of one of the rap nights in this Hamtramck pub that don't even do rap. So it's just 5 people in there, and 2 of them don't even listen to rap. And I said, I'm going to perform to keep these people here. My set started at 12:45. And I was like, I'm gonna focus all the energy in the world to keep these 5 people in this pub till my set is over for this 30 minutes. I'm gonna keep them here till 1:15 because everything in me felt like leaving. I told my DJ, I told drummer, I was like, drummer B, we about to rock them. I was like, pull out that Saigon. Yeah, I was like, pull out that Saigon and start scratching, and we about to rock them. And I kept them there. I got them involved, and it was one of the best shows. Another one great show like that was we in Canada, me and Nick Speed doing a show in Canada for man, I forget old girl name. She did stuff with the Windsor radio station one time. Our the second verse of the first song, the speakers blow.
Oh.
So I'm looking at Speed, and I'm like, what do we do?
Gonna do?
And I looked at Speed, I'm like, yo, we about to kick your head, fat style, beating on the chest, got a rock, and then we rocking, and then the whole crowd started clapping with us and rocking.
Yeah,
and
you got both of us, me and Colin over here already.
So it's like we gotta pivot, we gotta move, you know what I'm saying? Well, we could have easily said, hey, yo, what's going on with this janky equipment?
Right.
Made it seem like as though it's a part of the show and we didn't break the fourth wall because we kept them people going. And I'm using performance as the vehicle, but I think it's like that even in business, you know? And I know for what we deal with, especially what you're dealing with, food is the toughest business.
Yeah, man.
It's always pivoting. You know what I'm saying? It's probably days you show up where you gotta be chef, cash register, bring in, you know, check in stock, you know, talk to the people that's talking about, you know, doing some catering. And this is just what we doing.
So when you, because what's so important about what you're saying, and Brent, I'm sure you can attest to this, is a lot of times too when you're first starting off your venture or you're starting off some type of idea, you're gonna be on hard times. It's not like, you know, Detroit is different, was paying the bills like it is now, in a lot of studio. So what was one of the toughest decisions you had to make in the early times? You know, like I remember me personally, we had to decide as a brand with Young Village how we were going to fund paying for food because we didn't take deposits up front in the beginning. You know, and so if you're broke and you get a contract or you're doing a catering for somebody, they want
how you gonna pay for the food?
Yeah, because early on, that's how you get that's how they do you in the game. Yeah. Early on, before you get your reputation, it's like you pitching, I'm going to you saying, hey, I want to do food for you. So it's hard to be like, I want to do food for you, and yo, here go your bill. Yeah. So you got to get in the door, build the brand, and then move in that way. So some of the toughest things, it goes back to limitation too, and just being creative and figuring out how to move through things. I'm gonna always lean on that, but a lot of tough decisions. You know, even right now, like I bought a stage, you know, and right now it's like the shipping and capacity, and that's why I think it just moves up every layer. You know, I remember when it was like, wow, $500. I can't believe they're giving me $500 for this. Then it's like, damn, they're giving me $5,000 for this. And then you get to a point where it's like, whether it's 500, 5,000, 50, or 500,000, it's always a moving target. And whatever that budget is going to be filled up with people, places, things, assets. Like it probably is water's reaching its level. But tough decisions, like the biggest competitive advantage I have is, you know, driving what you say, like an older vehicle, my 2012 Ford Fusion, and hopefully that we can get through one more Detroit winter. But you know what I'm saying? So it's that. It's, you know, my competitive advantage of my house. It's so many home repairs I want to do with my house that I forego on, but piece by piece, I pick a project a little bit more
step by
of
step.
what that may be, instead of just, going MTV Cribs with my house, because, you know, it's stuff that I see where it's like, man, I really want that, and I see that, and, you know, this could be more fly, and, you know, you go to your homie stuff, but they're not, as I call it, they're not in the game. They're more civilian, they're a part of other people's projects.
Yeah.
But when you're an entrepreneur, you know, those trade-offs are
It's
consistent.
a different type of game, yeah. You always making trades.
Yeah, so it's like, do I get new gutters? You know what I'm saying? Or do I pay for this stage? Do I pay for this band? Do I pay for this engineer? Do I pay for this editing? You know, do I put a couple little bit more Facebook ads in here? You know, do I kick the can on this DTE bill or something? Yeah.
Do I
So
get a fresh haircut?
yeah, do I get a fresh haircut? Can I take her out? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
very
Like
real.
all of this stuff is a consistent trade-off. And really what's happened too, as the more money has come in, the time has become less and less and less and less and less and less.
Decrease.
So as time is less, it's almost more frustrating than, you know, being broke. And I had all the time in the world, your family, your homies, dating life. It's like, oh, this is cool because you can experience things. But having less time, you know, and people be thinking like, oh, you gotta, and it's like people, it's a lot of people that act like they busy. Like I used to think I was busy, and it's like, damn, I wish I was just as busy as I was 4 years ago. Because I look at my schedule now, and it's like, damn. And I'm thinking to myself, this is only preparation for where I'm gonna be 4 years from now. So the paramount asset of time, that's the key asset. Time, value, cost of analysis. So, you either got time or you got money.
That's it.
And most people that got a lot of money say, if I could get that time back, I will redo this money setup a whole lot differently.
And then vice versa. Mm-hmm. So, Khary, this is actually a good way to put a pin in it. You are here on Take Detroit for the Daily Take.
That's what's up.
When you think about your take for the day, or the take that you would give that people need to understand from the Khary Frazier perspective, what take would you give them?
All right, my song of the year, because I always have I'm a music person big time, and I listen to all types of music, but my song of the year so far is, that's like real life action.
Yeah, it
all right.
was real life action.
My song of the year so far this year has been Back to the Creativity. And it didn't hit me much when I was a kid, and it's probably that's the beauty of songs that grow on you, kind of like that blues. Gladys Knight's version of a Bobby Bland song, I really got to use my imagination. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I really got to use my imagination to think of the reasons to keep on keeping on. And then, the kids be like, keep on keeping on. So it's like that song and that mantra has been my mantra this year. So it's like, how am I going to use this to think through all of those other obstacles? When I got to make this call to be like, hey, I ain't got you on this. I'm going to get you on the next one. Or, all right, are you going to put in, having the guts to call? Like when that person says, yeah, I'm thinking about granting your project $5,000. And it's like, damn, you so happy they gave $5,000. But now you got to have the guts to turn around and be like, hey, man, when that $5 coming in, bro?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But do it tastefully. But it's still one of those things where, you gotta learn that.
Yeah.
Because it's like you're grateful they're giving you the $5, but it's like if that $5 come at a wrong time, back to a time thing, I probably may need 10.
Mm-hmm. If it's off, if the time is off.
The time is off because I done borrowed one from him and one from him and one from him and one from him.
You gotta pay up.
And now I gotta pay all of them back because I knew your imaginary $5 was coming eventually, but when is it coming? You know what I'm saying?
No.
So that plays a role too, but that's the imagination of working it in the right way. So that's my mantra right now.
Man, that's a perfect daily take to have. I might have to adopt that one as well. Is keeping that mindset is how do I use my imagination to navigate and to overcome the challenges that I face, or even if it's not a challenge, it's whatever it is.
Oh, to keep on keeping on. You know what I'm saying?
Keeping on.
It's like what Gladys, Bland said first, and Gladys reinterpreted the song.
Hey.
Yep.
Well, with that, Khary, we definitely want to thank you for coming on to the show today. We thank you for all the insights you gave us.
Thank you.
We definitely want to remind everybody to contribute to a lot of studio.
So go to GoFundMe if you're a GoFundMe person and comfortable with that, because I'm learning the cultural differences in that. It's like black people don't GoFundMe. So if you're one of those people, you can go to Cash App. You can give like I did last year, which was interesting, but Cash $ Detroit 501c3. $ Detroit 501c3. That's the Cash App. I figure it's real simple because we got the 501c3 now. Or you can go to GoFundMe. Keep it in GoFundMe. Just look up A Lot of Studio. And it's just like what you think. ALOTOFSTUDIO.
Perfect. How else can folks find you, Khary, if they want to engage with Detroit is Different, they want to listen to the podcast, if they want to be a guest?
Oh, reach out to me. I'm Khary Frazier on all my socials. So you probably gonna see that on the lower thirds and stuff. So I'm really Khary Frazier. I'm not 7 Mile Dice Game. You know what I'm saying? So that's me on Instagram. That's me on
7 Mile Dice
that's me on Facebook too. You know what I'm saying? I mean, people be having interesting handles sometimes. Like you ever do somebody as their real name and then they change their name. They be like, you ain't tagged me. You be like, hey, I don't know who you are. It's like the man with the OnlyFans. It's like, hey, I gotta mute you by default. You know what I'm saying?
Like when somebody pulls All right.
Freeze.
That's it for the Daily Take with the Take Detroit show. I'm one of your hosts, Godwin, along with my co-host, Brandon, and we would love to give a special thank you to our esteemed guest, Khary Frazier.
Respect.
We'd also like to thank Replay Cafe,
Respect.
and until next time, we'll see you if you want to.
What's that? Oh,
Water.
fuck, I always forget this. Definitely also want to send a shout out to our amazing sponsor, Elements CBD Water. You can follow them at Elements CBD Water on all the social channels. But this is no ordinary CBD water. It is also alkaline water. It has 8.5 pH, so it's great for your hydration, great for your body, and also great for your mind with the CBD. So check out Elements CBD Water. We thank them so much for being a sponsor for the Daily Take on the Take Detroit show.
Hey, do you vote?
Vote.
Do you like encourage other people to vote?
I mean, it's like yes and